you can't see the aesthetic. You know, first of all, the aesthetic beauty is just the surface. It's just the cover of something that's seething and rotting underneath. So when you go outside of downtown and you go up to places like the Hill District or Homewood or Garfield, or you go outside of Pittsburgh, you go to Homestead, which has changed a little bit because people have been moving out and people with more affluence have been moving in. You know, the process of gentrification, even that's happening in Garfield. But you go to these black communities, and the black community makes up about 29 to 30% of Pittsburgh. You go there, you might think it's more. You might think you're in Baltimore. You landed in Baltimore, Detroit, because that's all you see is black people walking around in Pittsburgh. But when you go to these neighborhoods and you talk to people and you ask people, what is employment like here? They'll tell you, I know more people unemployed than I know employed. And you'll see houses in the Hill District, it really, you know, they're hills. If you're not walking up and down a hill, you're walking up steps. And just to get to, you know, like these steps walking up here from downstairs, that's nothing. Just to get to somebody's porch, you gotta walk up, you know, steps twice as steep as the steps to come up these stairs. And twice as many steps. It's a very hard place to navigate. You know, we went door to door in the Hill District, so I'm sure y'all can appreciate what that must be like going door to door there. It took, you know, I think I lost probably about 5-6 pounds, and I'm not that big to begin with. But you see houses that are falling down, built on slants. So houses are literally falling down. It's like Detroit. It looks like Detroit. And for the black community, and the reason why I'm speaking primarily about the conditions that are facing oppressed people is because, you know, generally because of national oppression and the history of the building of the wealth of the capitalist class in this country has been on the backs of first indigenous people, you know, and you know, even when we say Latino people are a mixture of indigenous people, primarily indigenous people, as well as unfortunately colonizer, but also African people. Like Fidel said, the blood of Africa runs through the Western Hemisphere. So, you know, the history of this country is the history of the oppression of, you know, indigenous, Latino, African people, Chinese people who built the railroad, and other oppressed peoples. So when you speak about things and the oppression that we face, it has to, you always have to put on, you know, lenses of national oppression, of race in the society, and look from that point of view. Because generally when revolutions happen and struggles happen, the people that have the most to win are the people that push and fight the hardest. So when you're in Pittsburgh, black people, the 57% of people, of families, black families in Detroit, make less than $25,000 a year. You go to the Hill District, and you know the median income in the United States is like $51,000. So that gives you an indication of what it's like. 33% of people in the Hill District 33% of families make less than $10,000 a year. So, you know, if you look at the poverty rates for just one individual, the poverty line for one person is over $10,000. So when you have a family that's making less than $10,000 or less, you know, you're barely surviving. You're not really. I mean, you're just getting by, doing the best that you can. And the unemployment rate for black men in the 20s in Pittsburgh, and the reason why I talk about black men in this instance, because primarily in a city like Pittsburgh, there's a small number of Latino workers, pretty recent, that have come to the city of Pittsburgh, but for the most part, what you generally see is white and black. That's generally what you see in Pittsburgh. Not to say that there aren't other oppressed people. I mean, many different indigenous nations inhabited this area before the colonizers came, but, you know, were slaughtered or driven off. But the unemployment rate for black men in their 20s in Pittsburgh is equal to that of what you would have here in Detroit. It's over 50%. You know, and and that's the reason why one of the things that we're organizing for September 20th, which is our major push, is a March for Jobs. And I was talking to someone the other day, and I'm gonna wrap up, and he was saying, well, we shouldn't go to them asking for jobs. So we're not asking for anything. We don't ask for health care. We don't ask for jobs. We don't ask for housing. We demand it. And when you demand it, it doesn't mean that we expect that they're going to say, oh, you know what, you're right. We made a serious mistake. We're going to give you health care. I mean, you see what's happening right now with the racism that is coming up against President Obama. And his proposal wasn't that great to begin with anyway. But even what little he was proposing, they are against. They're resisting that. Yeah.
That just came out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
And racism is mixed with it. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, racism. Well,
driving.
It's what's driving.
It's driving.
They're using it to split workers.
Yeah.
Because some of these workers that are the most, that are spewing the most vile, racist garbage, are some people who would need health care the most.
And where were these protesters when their tax dollars were given to Wall Street?
See, that's the thing. They weren't organized for that.
Nope, not organizing for that. Where were they when the billions were shoveled to AIG and Wall Street? I have no sympathy for those people out there protesting.
Or the billions that have been given to wage war against Afghan and Iraqi people, and the billions of dollars given to Israel and Colombia.
Over $80 billion in aid, just a gift to Israel every year.
Yeah.
And billions of dollars going to debt, funneled into basically death squads in Colombia.
Well,
didn't they admit recently to killing over 20,000 people
in Colombia?
Yeah, the death squads.
I didn't see that.
Death squads.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
The U.S. back. Yeah.
And they are, the AUC, AUC, those Pepes. I mean, they're death squads.
That's the U.S.'s Israel in Latin America.
Colombia is.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, the monies that have been given, this is just the money that have been given to so-called stabilized financial system that was given to the banks, other financial institutions, and automakers. It's like $12 trillion. That's 20% of the world's GDP. $12 trillion just made available to them, and people are crying about. That money really could have paid off the what is the
debt,
the deficit?
the national debt.
It's like $9 trillion, right?
About 8 or 9 trillion.
Could have paid that off and had $3 trillion left to play with. So, it's racism that's driving it, and that's the thing, about race in this society. Yeah, he has the highest. Obama has the highest office in the land. Yet, you can go to a rally with a sign that says it's time to water the tree of liberty, which comes from Thomas Jefferson, which says, I can't remember, but it's something like the tree of liberty needs to be watered with the blood of tyrants and martyrs alike, or something like that, right? Which basically says that he's a tyrant and we should kill him. And these people have guns.
Right.
They have guns. Now, I'm not like, I think essentially Obama is an imperialist president, but
never any other president would have had to face any kind of threat like that. That was an outright threat against his life.
You get put in jail if you said something like that.
If you just
That's
said
right.
something.
That's right.
Let alone getting that close.